Trump says there's a real chance tariffs could replace income tax. I hope so. I mean, I would save so much money by not having to pay income tax, man. And a lot of people don't know we didn't always had an income tax. It was after the creature of Jekyll Island. I talk about that book all the time. That's where the monopoly men, the robber barons, they met up and created the Federal Reserve and brought in the income tax and stuff. So a lot of people don't know that, but Trump does know that. A lot of people don't know about Trump that he's a historian. He reads a lot about history. He knows a lot about history, and he's going to talk a little bit about how about the income tax and how we can use tariffs to replace that. Which again, I think is a wonderful, wonderful idea. A lot of people be able to keep their hard-earned money. I'm all for it. So we're gonna play the clip of Trump talking about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description, has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from Slay News, and they report that President Donald Trump has revealed that his global tariffs plan could bring in enough federal revenue that he could completely eliminate income tax for American citizens. Trump said in a new Fox News interview that, quote, there's a real chance tariffs could replace income tax. Fox News' Rachel Campos Duffy asked Trump if such a move would be possible. So let's get right to the clip here. All right, here we go.
President Trump sat down with Fox's Rachel Campos Duffy. Listen to what he had to say when he was asked if tariffs will replace the income tax.
You know, you're the only one that's asked me that. Oh, I deal with all these big financial geniuses. Nobody ever. There is a chance that the money from tariffs could be so great that it would replace. You know, in the old days, about 1870 to 1913, the tariffs were the only form of money.
Right, 1913. That's why I tell you the creature from Jekyll Island. Please read that book if y'all want to know more about that. That's when they implemented the income tax and they created the Federal Reserve. We didn't always have that.
And that's when our nation was relatively the richest. We were the richest.
Well, look who is here now, Rachel Campos Duffy herself. Rachel, he was careful to not say how much taxes could be offset.
But he loved the question. He loved the question because, as you know, he loves tariffs. He's seeing this as another form of revenue. In fact, he talked about just how much revenue is coming into the country. To me, off camera, I mentioned to him that we were going to bring up tariffs. So this is something I think he's really committed to do. I mean, listen, this is.
He's been talking about tariffs for 30 some odd years. Everyone's seen that clip, hopefully by now. If not, it's not hard to look up. The clip of a young Donald Trump 35 years ago talking to Oprah Winfrey about tariffs and how other countries are screwing us. So he's been talking about this for a very, very long time. This is not something like all of a sudden that Trump decided to do something about all of a sudden. He's been talking about this forever, even though the mainstream media is pretending like, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. He don't know what he's doing. He's just throwing things out there. No, Trump been planning this for a long time.
Tax day, how amazing would that be? I would say this to you, Stuart, not just tariffs. I encourage you and your producers to watch this entire interview. There was a lot of business news made on this interview. It was a very long, extensive interview, almost an hour. We talked about immigration, which, as you know, impacts the labor market. I asked him, should people who have been here 20 years and haven't broken any law since they got in here illegally 20 years ago, should they be able to stay? Should they be treated differently than the Biden era illegals who came in over the last 4 years? His answer, really surprising. We talked about, people are saying, okay, I'm on board for the tariffs, but my 401k is hurting bad. How about the, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, no tax on. So he talked about his commitment to getting that through in his big, beautiful deal. He
Rachel,
also talked about
the big, beautiful deal. I love that. Imagine working overtime, but that really doesn't apply to me. But for people that do apply for it, you can work overtime and not get taxed. I remember back when I worked at the prison, I was getting overtime. And man, I loved working the overtime, working the extra days, making a little extra change, but I would hate looking at how much taxes Uncle Sam would get from me. It's just crazy. Where's the incentive to work more if they're going to take all of my darn money? So, man, that is a big, big deal to be able to work overtime and not have to pay the government your money. That's a novel, beautiful idea. I love that.
About
Rachel.
farmers and the hospitality industry as well, and what he was going to do to help mitigate the pain there.
I'm sorry to jump in on you like this.
No
I know
problem.
we can see the whole interview this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern, I believe, on Noticias.
Yes.
However, tell me what he said when you asked him about illegals who've been here for 20 years. How are they going to be treated the same as those people who arrived last year? What did he say?
Well, you know, Stuart, he can't. This guy just tells you exactly what's on his mind. He's
That's
not
why
a
I love
political person. And I had showed him an interview
politics.
of a Hispanic man that I had interviewed on Noticias, who had been here 20 years, was supporting Donald Trump, couldn't vote, but said, I'm supporting him for all the economic reasons because I have children that live here and I know he's going to make this country better. I showed him that clip. And he's like, man, that's exactly the kind of citizen we need in this country. And he said, I know that I'm supposed to say he should be treated the same, but I don't think he should. And you can see the extended answer. It was fascinating.
That's
and
interesting.
He also talked about
Yep.
some of his people maybe being mad that he said it, but his gut instinct is that those are two different situations.
Got it. Now, Rachel, we have more from your interview. You taught the president a little Spanish. Watch this.
I did.
Okay, well that's it. That's it for that on the whole income tax thing. But I'm all for it. I'm hoping that it does happen. I'm hoping that he does get rid of the income tax. I mean, think about all that money people will get to save. And it would, I think it will boost the economy because that's more money people have in their pocket. And we all know that we are consumers. We're going to spend that extra money that's in our pocket. It will stimulate the economy. We will see growth like we've never seen before, I think, if we just get rid of the federal income tax. But Trump put a 90-day pause on reciprocal customized tariffs he had imposed on dozens of nations on Wednesday. Simultaneously, the Trump administration upped the ante on its tariffs on China to 125%, and I talked about that already. The administration, including Trump, is diving into negotiations with foreign nations to strike deals that are beneficial to the U.S. and lower the country's chronic trade deficit, according to officials. And y'all know I'm all for that. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Do y'all believe Trump is going to get rid of the income tax? If you do believe it, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.